Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everybody. I love you all. My name is MiAh the King, and the difference between a numerator and a denominator is a short line. Only a fraction of people will understand this. Thank you so much for clicking on my video, and I hope you'll stick around. Why? For the funny jokes at the start of each video, or perhaps because I can help you figure out if you need a game in 10 minutes or less. Now then, today we're taking a look at a game just released on Steam called Dissent on Mars, developed by Michael Hicks and Gonçalo Antunes. Wow, I hope I'm not butchering some guy's name, and if I am, I deeply apologize. And published by Michael Arts, released not in early access and selling for $30. So, what even is this game anyway? Well, you're building your own civilization on Mars. That's probably the best descriptor I can give this game, which sums it up pretty much. It's sort of a colony sim kind of game, but it's not really. It's hard to explain, and we'll go into that. But basically, it's about simulating making your own societies on Mars. That's pretty much it. I mean, honestly, the only reason I clicked on this game was because it looked really similar to RimWorld, of which I'm a big fan, so is this game just as good? Well, as always, let's go into the good and the bad, starting off first with the good, and find out for ourselves. Oh, and I wanted to mention this too. Whoever was the person who told me to go and play the game Roots of Pacha, damn you. Now I'm addicted. Okay, so the first positive point for me was the idea. The idea of a game where you go to Mars, start your own colony, and just build it up. Like, I always love that idea. Colonizing Mars is like my sci-fi fantasy, so I'm always down for a new game that wants to explore it, and that's what this game wants you to do, or at least that's what I thought it wanted you to do. Explore the idea of colonizing Mars and creating new societies, or rules, or laws, or whatever. Like, it's definitely an interesting idea for sure. It's definitely not something I typically see games made out of. The next positive point I'd like to talk about is the art style. While the graphics suck, and we'll go into that later, the overall art style itself is actually pretty decent. Like I mentioned, it's similar to RimWorld, which when it first came out I wasn't a fan of, but over time I learned to enjoy its simplicity and I'm talking about the art style, not the game. The art style here reflects that, and I actually enjoy staring at it. The rest of the game looks like garbage, and its overall quality is pathetic, but the art style choice itself was just fine. And last but not least is the stability. The game never crashed, froze, dropped frames, glitched, or bugged out with me in any way, shape, or form, at least none that I could recognize. So the game was working well, playing smoothly, and overall decent enough that I didn't even think I was playing a brand new game. Like, it was working that well, so that's great to see. But unfortunately, that's it. Those are pretty much the only positive points I could think of to talk about with this game, and that was severely pushing it. Next up, we're going to go into the negatives, but before that, if you find yourself enjoying the video or finding it entertaining or informative in any way, shape, or form, I'd humbly ask you to join my kingdom by hitting that subscribe button and leaving a comment. Also, hit that bell too, so you'll be notified when I put out new content, which is going to help you save some time and money, alright? Alright, now on to everything wrong with this game, which is pretty much everything else that was not mentioned previously. I really don't want to bash on it, like I really don't. New indie devs who are trying to pursue their passion is commendable and something I really want to support and encourage. However, when you create a pile of shit and try to present it to me as a 5-star restaurant dish, I have no choice but to explain to you everything you did wrong. Don't get me wrong, game devs, this isn't to hurt you, but to help you. So, okay, this game pretty much handled everything poorly in my opinion. The idea of the game was good, and it's definitely got an interesting new way of looking at it, and while I'm trying to stay as unbiased as possible, there are just so many things here that were done wrong that I'm struggling to wrap my brain around them all. Let's start with the first obvious one, the sound. The music was actually decent, as is the ambiance. Hell, the fact that there was ambiance at all was a great thing, but there's zero sound effects. And despite having ambiance and background music, it still sounds incredibly lackluster in terms of scope and size. You could play this game muted and you wouldn't miss a thing. It wouldn't change anything about it. The next thing they did wrong here was the overall graphics, which I did briefly mention earlier, but there's zero animations to anything. Okay, that's a bit much. There are some animations, but very few and only with the colonists themselves. When you hear animal sounds and nature sounds, you'd expect to see some form of physicality in terms of interaction with said sounds. For instance, if you hear wind rustling through the trees, you expect to see trees moving with the wind. I built a bunch of animals in this game, and they don't move at all. They're just painted onto the background. They don't make sounds either, yet they're supposedly alive and supposed to be a part of the world. Other than the colonists, there's nothing moving at all, and it's kind of jarring. As for the colonists themselves, their animations are no better than those in RimWorld, which released freaking forever ago, so not really all that impressive anyway. Next up, that was a bad design choice, was the gameplay itself. I'm not even too sure I even understand it due to the game's awful tutorial, which I'll go into soon enough, but honestly, I'm not even sure how to explain how it works or how the game is played, because despite me spending almost 2 hours studying this shit, I still have absolutely no idea how anything works or why. A typical colony sim has colonists show up to some form of wilderness and have to civilize it. You'd expect the same here considering it's got the tag colony sim on the Steam store page, yet the game allows you to place the resources that you want and harvest what you want as many times as you want, as far as I can tell. You start off in a giant blank spot of open Mars, yet it it doesn't feel like Mars because there's grass everywhere. And then you just do whatever you want, like you're the god of Mars or something. Just create trees, then mark those trees for harvesting. Does anyone actually have to go chop them down and harvest them? No, you just instantly get the resources. Building is instant. Everything is instant, leaving me to think that the only actual gameplay component here is the actual shaping of your society's rules and laws, which, okay, I mean, they say that's kind of the main goal of the game, but that doesn't even make sense. Half the time I get a goal and complete everything the goal wanted and do everything that the game is asking me to do, and despite that, the game is still telling me that the objective has been completed with a yes typed in, but it's in red and not green. So I guess it's not completed, but then why does it say yes? Why won't it tell me why it's red? How do I make it go green? What is the point of this? Why does it matter? I have no idea. Honestly, in my opinion, the gameplay is just pretty much boring overall. You can create your own little colonist and select them to be you, I guess. That's what the game makes it sound like. But you can also create and select hundreds of colonists to be you. So none of them are really you, yet the game treats it like you're supposed to treat it as though it's you, despite the fact that it's not. Like, see what I mean when I'm saying it's hard to explain? The gist of the gameplay, from what I can tell, is build all the resources, harvest as much as you want, build whatever you want, then spend the majority of your time in the UI menus trying to finagle a bunch of policies, laws, and other random crap that doesn't make any sense. In other words, this is not a colony sim game. It's a simulation of creating rules, laws, and cultures that happens to take place on Mars. Do not come into this game expecting something like Banished, RimWorld, Anno, or any other colony sim, because it's definitely not that, which, honestly, even if I was interested in that, with no other functions or gameplay components, even that would still be boring when there's nothing to do but sit there and wait. So the gameplay is severely lacking, depressing, and boring as hell, as well as making no sense. And then you've got the tutorial. I gotta say, it feels like they tried with the tutorial. Like they really tried, with lots of arrows and text to read and step-by-step functions they want you to do. But despite me completing the tutorial, I didn't learn dick. I know some people enjoy the aspect of learning a game for themselves, and that's perfectly fine. Good on you. I understand why. But for everyone who isn't like that, like me, we like to know what we're doing, or at least a general idea of what I'm going to be doing, or at least what my goals are or going to be, or whatever, before I get into the crux of the game. And the tutorial pretty much just teaches you the very bare bone basics and nothing about the inner workings or the explanations of many of its gameplay ideas, designs, and functions. And let's not forget, it was incredibly boring and only took me like 5 minutes to get through. Look, game devs, just because you know what it is you're supposed to do and how to go about it doesn't mean strangers are going to understand. You had an idea when you created this game. You knew what the game was going to be and what you were going to have to do and all that other stuff, so it's all obvious to you. But to us newbies, we have no freaking idea and need more information. Half the time, I wasn't even sure I was playing the game right, simply because I had absolutely no idea what the hell was going on. Still don't, by the way. Still have no idea what the actual purpose of this game even is. I'm just assuming based on all the information I actually managed to squeeze out of it. And last but not least for the negatives is combining the user interface, mechanics, and the price tag. So let's start with the UI. It's kind of lackluster, a bit ugly, and simple, yet still hard to navigate or understand effectively for a game like this. Sometimes you'll get tooltips, other times you won't. Sometimes you'll get hints, other times you won't. Some menus are completely missable simply because of how poorly the UI is designed, and overall, it barely serves its basic function. The mechanics don't really make a lot of sense either. Why am I able to just create resources out of thin air? Why is there no real resource management? What is the point of them then? What about actually influencing or controlling the colonists? Why, instead of just assigning a person to a house, I have to build a key for him? Why, in the game of limitless resources, am I limited in decorations and building mechanics? It's just awkward as hell as trying to navigate around and find your way through it. And then finally, that price tag. I mean, come on, $30 fucking for this? Are you out of your damn mind? How? Someone please explain to me how or why they think this game is worth $30. Graphically, not even close. Sound quality? No. Gameplay, replayability, length of play? I have no idea, but there's no way in hell this game is worth $30. I'd say maybe, at most, $15. Know why? Because there's nothing there. There's nothing there. Remember, this is not early access. This is a fully released game. The devs could abandon it right now for all we know, since it's still not being developed. A few patches here and there might improve some things, might add a couple things, but that'll be it most likely. What you're looking at is it. This is it. This is all there will be. And you want me to pay $30 for this? I mean, RimWorld is only $35 and offers you 10 times more content for that extra $5. Just go buy and play RimWorld. This is definitely ludicrous, and I just had to say something. Okay, so that's all I got to say negatively about the game, and I hated doing it. Now, if they hadn't charged $30, I'd probably be less irritated. Just a small, cheap little game that doesn't make sense and does its own little thing. Okay, fine, fair enough. But $30? I mean, what the actual hell? So look, I don't understand the appeal of this game. I don't understand the game's mechanics or the point of it. A little society simulator, is that its only purpose, its only gameplay attraction? Then again, $30 is far too much for something like that. I guess I just don't understand it. And if you're a fan of it and you've played it and you know what's going on and everything, maybe you can explain to me what the appeal of this game is that no other game does, by the way. Like, what is the appeal? What does this game do that nothing else does or even hints at doing? Because you can pretty much create your own societies in RimWorld too, but with far more content and extra gameplay included. So, I don't know. But overall, I think it's a pretty bad game, a pretty poor excuse for a colony sim with very, very basic mechanics and very little effort in terms of gameplay, depth, or originality. Honestly, there's really nothing innovative here, there's nothing new here, there's nothing worthwhile here, there's nothing fun here, and nothing done exceptionally here. I struggled to find even one positive thing to say about that game because I just didn't want to be too harsh, but I just don't understand it. So my obvious recommendation is just to forget this game exists and move on. It's definitely not worth $30 and definitely not worth your time. But if you disagree with me, then I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below, as long as you keep it civil. I'm desperate to understand what this game was going for and why people would even like it or consider it a good game, because I just don't see it. But that's all the time I got for today's video, everybody. Thanks so much for watching, with a special thanks to those of you who stuck around to the end. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I can't wait to see you all again on my next adventure. So until then, I bid you all farewell.